Well, welcome back to Retro Adventures. This is day 4 of my journey on the C&O Canal Towpath. It's been a great journey. This is the final day, riding from Little Orleans to Cumberland, Maryland. So come along with me. First sighting of the day is an aqueduct over a creek. Of course, this one does not have water in it like the one we saw yesterday, but it's pretty cool. Last night we camped out at a brewery. It was about 7 miles from the trail, so we had to be shuttled there. It actually rained a little bit this morning. That was kind of a surprise, but that's okay. Keeping the temperatures down like it's been this entire trip. It is September the 2nd on Tuesday, the day after Labor Day. So we expect to see very few people on the trail today. This is about a 40-mile ride today. So it is the second shortest day planned, but for me, it's probably going to be the shortest day because on day 2, which was a 35-mile on the trail, I rode up to Antietam National Battlefield. If you want to watch that video, that has been posted. Let me talk a little bit about the group that rode on this trip. You can see some of them up there riding. There were 13 people who paid to go on the trip. They were mainly from around the East Coast, although one gentleman lives in Wildwood, Missouri, which is just a few minutes from where I live. He grew up in Long Island, however. We had 3 gentlemen, including the gentleman from Wildwood, who were buddies and been buddies from childhood, and they planned this trip together. There were 4 ladies from Upper New York who came together. Another lady who actually lives in this area, but she'd never done a group bike trip before, and she decided she wanted to experience it that way. So yes, we did camp. I would say more like glamping. That's how it's advertised. I'll do a more of a deep dive into 2-wheel escapes on a future video. We got the Potomac River over here to our left. This is lock number 59. And if it looks a little bit deeper than some of the earlier locks, it in fact may be. At some point we get to locks that are 10 foot deep. The engineers, as they built this canal, realized if they made 10 foot deep locks instead of 8 foot deep locks, then they wouldn't have to have as many locks. So that's what's going on here. And we have the remnants of the old lock house right over here.
Put us in a movie.
Some of our riders from our group. We may just see our riders today, day after Labor Day. Okay, I thought I'd walk over here. I'm not sure what the purpose of this was. It looks like a miniature lock, but I don't think that's what it was exactly. Very interesting, though.
Go back to the what's that area called with the stuff, return stuff?
It's an old railroad bridge. All right, well, unfortunately, I have to report that I have an issue with the e-bike. I was riding along just fine, and pedal assist 2 all of a sudden stopped working. So I have no pedal assist now. I'm trying to stay positive. Number 1, it is the last day. 2, it's a shorter ride than some of the other days. I got pedals. I can pedal. Essentially pedaling in no pedal assist, and this is a very heavy bike. However, the throttle still works. I don't know why. I wonder if it has to do with the dampness, the wetness. Maybe something is unplugged. I checked, tried to find the plug. I couldn't find anything. And if it was unplugged, it doesn't seem the throttle would work either. So my plan is just to pedal, but I'm going to use the throttle every once in a while. Like here, I can throttle it. It's crazy, but that will use up the battery. So I will throttle some, I'll pedal some. Throttle some, pedal some. I have 36 miles to go. I can do this. And when I get back home, I'll just have to take it to the shop and see what's going on. But it's definitely something I hoped would not happen. It's better than a flat tire, knock on wood. I'm gonna make it, but it won't be as pleasant of a ride as it would have been otherwise. So I have mentioned earlier how the locks get deeper as you get farther west. That last lock we looked at may have still been an 8-foot lock. Let me know what you think on the video. This one is definitely a very deep lock. A little update on the e-bike situation. Again, I'm not panicking. I'm going to be okay as long as it stays as is. I was worried that if I just throttle and pedal at the same time, it would use up more battery. But looking at the current, if I keep pedaling, it doesn't use up any more than if the pedal assist were working. At least I think. It's not eating up the battery extensively right now. And we're into the 30s as far as the miles to get back. Actually, it's right at 31 miles, and I've still got like 80% battery life. So I think I'm going to be okay. A little disappointed in that, but it could be much worse. Now here's where the numbering system gets really interesting. Notice it says lock 63 and 1/3. There is no lock 64 because since they dug these locks even deeper than the ones in the east, there was no need to build another lock just a little ways up the road. However, because of their contract, and they were contracted to build 74 locks, they had to just kind of manipulate the system a little bit and call this lock 63 1/3. And lock 64 2/3. So I said there was no lock 64 per se, but there's a 64 2/3 lock. And then again, look how deep that sucker is. Ooh, you would not want to fall in that. I was told 10 foot deep, but wow, that looks much deeper than 10 foot. Maybe erosion has caused it to go even farther down. I don't know. Now I am nearing the famous Paw Paw Tunnel. Last year, this tunnel was closed down because of rock slides, and people had to take that trail to the left. Ooh, glad we don't have to do that today. Now this tunnel was built, the projection was it would take 3 years to build it, but it took 14, and it almost bankrupted the company because it cost so much money. They were trying to avoid a 6-mile route. After they were done, I bet they wish they had gone to 6 miles. By the time they were through, the railroad had already become a thriving industry. In other words, the canal was becoming obsolete. It was used until 1924, but mainly to haul coal at that point. So here we are, the Paw Paw Tunnel. There goes the guys. You can see the light at the end. It is dark. I will have my light on. Paw Paw! See if my light is good enough. I do have another light I can pull out if I need to. So far, looking good. And look down there, there is still water. And the other end of the tunnel. Not quite halfway through. Over 3,000 feet long. The light on my bike is working just great. Hello, Papa, Caca. And here we are on the west side of the Towpath Tunnel. Look at that engineering. There was a lot of pride taken back then. At the very top, it has the name of the engineer. I wonder if this is the same guy who worked on it all 14 years. I can't read the first two letters, but I believe the last name is Fisk. Oh, I bet he heard some things from the government when he was so late in finishing the tunnel. So it says here, climbing the rock steps at either end of the tunnel is prohibited. Ooh, okay, I'm a rebel. I did not know that. Better to ask for forgiveness than permission. Well, here shows you what they saved by doing this tunnel. You are here. Tunnel went through here. If they had not done the tunnel, they would have had to go around on the canal that way. I don't think they saved anything. What do you think? Well. We have an update. I started pedaling and the pedal assist kicked in. So I don't know what's going on, but it's working. I'm wondering if the dampness did something. I don't know, I don't care, as long as it keeps working for me. Hallelujah. So this route would take me to Pawpaw, West Virginia, what the Pawpaw Tunnel is named after. I'm not doing that today because I'm on a mission to get back to my vehicle and head back to Missouri. Okay, update number 5, 6, I don't know what it is. Once again, the pedal assist just suddenly went out. 0, no power. But the throttle is still working, so we're back to that. Still doing okay as far as the power on the battery. I have 70%, 24 miles to go. I can throttle and pedal at the same time. It does use up a little bit more current that way. But dang, I was hoping it would just go back. And it might start working again. So this is the dramatic day of the 4-day ride. Welcome. All right, I know you're going to guess what I'm going to tell you. Yes, it's back. Pedal assist on the pedals. Started working again. We'll see how long it lasts. Hey, as long as I can get home, it'll be fine. Everything's fine. Okay, so this is a cool part of the canal I have not seen. Got a rock wall all the way along there. And I believe that was probably a telegraph system that they used on the canal later on. Obviously, when it was first put in, there was no telegraph. But then it was put in as the technology advanced, so they could tell the operators that boats were on their way, boats were coming. We have another one. Clock 67. Here we have another aqueduct. Bunch of lily pads now in the canal there. And this is lock number 68, and it has some water in it. So it's interesting, some of these locks have water in them, some are dry as the bone. Here we have the lock house. I do have another issue. It's a small issue, you know, small problems, but for some reason this pedal takes a bunch of effort to turn it. So making this left leg work so much more. It's so weird. I sprayed it down with lubricant, doesn't seem to work. So, well, I mean, this is a rough trail. This bike has been through a lot. But I'm 20 miles from my truck, and by golly, I'm going to make it today. So here's a little washout that happened this spring during the flooding. I initially had just these sandbags here that people had to use to get around. I can't even imagine doing it on that electric, but then they got this temporary bridge, which is a very nice help. And lots and lots of lily pads on this section of the canal. So many turtles sunning themselves on the old C&O Canal. This is Schoolhouse Kitchen, and it's an old school building, but it was bought by a fellow and he's turned it into a restaurant. All right, that was an excellent stop. That was my lunch stop for the day, so when I get to Cumberland, I can just get in the car and go. I've got 18 miles to go, and I need to be there by 4 o'clock, and right now it is 15 till 2, so I should be able to make it as long as the bike holds out. This portion of the trail is just lined with these yellow flowers. More Civil War history back there, but I don't really have time to stop and look at it, unfortunately. Still using the throttle and pedaling at the same time. Little frustrating. 174, that means we are 10.5 miles away from Cumberland. And guess what? You know what I'm gonna say. Got pedal assist has decided to start working again. So it'll work, and then it doesn't work, and then it'll work, and then it doesn't work. So I've decided that this bike must be retired. It works when it wants to. That was a pump station right there. I'm not gonna stop, I'm gonna keep going. This is lock 72, along with a lockout. All right, we're coming up on 175. You know what that means? We are less than 10 miles from the end. 9.5 miles at this moment. Yes. You know, on a multi-day bike trip, let's say a 4-day trip like this one, the third day is always the hardest because you're tired, you're achy, saddle sore if you ride a regular bike. But the last day, you're still tired and achy. saddle sore, maybe sleep deprived, but you get that burst of energy because it's almost the end. You can see the end in sight. Now think about this. Yesterday I just passed the midway point. Yesterday on the third day. And now I am close to the end. Yes. This should be lock 173, I believe. I'm not going to stop. I'm just going to film it as I ride by. Let's see if I'm right. Yes, 173. So one more lock to go. And here we are, the last lock, 174, I believe. 174 with the lock house on the left. Not 174, I'm getting mixed up. 75? Wait a minute. I thought there were 74 locks, okay? I am incorrect. That was lock 75. And of course, we are close to mile marker 174. Actually, we passed it. I'm getting delirious, folks. This trip has made me crazy. Okay, some of you would say I'm already crazy. That's okay, I'll take it. I often think, how cool would it be if they could restore the entire canal and people could buy canal boats and go up and down the canal. But who's got that kind of money? Not very many people. So obviously that will never happen. Okay, we're getting more and more urban houses starting to pop up, crossing over more roads. That means we're getting close to Cumberland. So again, the CNO stands for Chesapeake and Ohio Canal Company. Why Ohio? We're close to Ohio. Well, when it was conceived, the goal was to get all the way to Ohio, but Cumberland, Maryland was as far as they got before they ran out of funds, got usurped by the railroad company, and flood after flood would decimate them. So actually, I was thinking about it. I am not incorrect. Remember I said there was no lock 65, I think it was, and that was lock 75. So there are 74 locks. It's just not number 74 as the last lock, it's number 75. Well, the trail is really nice through here. I know they've done a lot of work on it from Cumberland going east, or in my case I'm heading west into Cumberland. So no complaints about the surface for sure. And just as I was praising the towpath, it breaks into the old country road again, but it's still not bad, still smooth. Well, this surely is the last campground before reaching Cumberland, because I am about 5 miles out. Okay, just after I said I thought lock 75 was it. No, here is, oh wait a minute. This is one of the 7 aqueducts. So this is not a lock. This is an aqueduct. Yep, because there's a creek right under us. Again, amazing that they could do that. Again, we have to remember that this was engineering starting in 1828, finishing up in 1850. Hand dug. There was no dynamite back then. There was black powder, very dangerous. but much of what we have seen on this journey was hand dug. Amazing. Mile marker 182. Only 2 more mile markers before reaching Cumberland. Some kind of animal over here. I think it's a cat. Oh, it's a black cat. It crossed my path. I'm not superstitious. I promise I'm not superstitious. Our leader once saw a mama bear with 3 bear cubs on this trail close to the Towpath tunnel. That was quite the story he told this morning about that. You know, they had to be really excited around the year 1850 to complete this canal. They had achieved something people thought was not possible. And then about 10 years later, there's a little skirmish that took place around here. The Civil War. And a lot of boats were burned and a lot of carnage. But it did continue after the Civil War, mainly shipping coal. And it continued even into the 20th century. Interesting growth along this part of the canal. My first sighting of Cumberland. That looks familiar. There we see the Potomac to the left. It's a little smaller than it was back around DC area. What a historical town. And yes, indeed, the last mile marker I will see before riding the half mile in to Cumberland. The last half mile. I walked across this bridge up here about 4 days ago. Last month, actually, in August. Now it's September. And now I am back. Now I know thousands upon thousands of people have completed this trail and even gone a lot farther than me, but I'm feeling pretty satisfied right now. Yes, I'm tired, I'm sore, I'm achy, I'm weary, but I feel accomplished, I feel successful in this journey. Yes, I was right here just a few days ago. Now we're going to go across the bridge into Cumberland, Maryland. Here we are, here we are. Like a bridge over troubled water. There's the replica canal boat. You still can't board it, looks like. That's okay. Here it is, here we are. I'm gonna come up here. There it is. The visitor center. Here we are. Yay. Well, that is the end of the journey, 184.5 miles. Thank you for coming along with me. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and let all your friends and family know about these journeys. And in the meantime, have yourself a retro adventure.